You wake up every morning, eyes fixed on a glowing screen, displaying lives more perfect than yours. The hollow ache spreads in your chest as carefully filtered images sweep past, each one deepening that primal need for validation and belonging. In a world demanding conformity, how can we possibly remain true to ourselves? Centuries ago, Miyamoto Musashi confronted this same dilemma. This legendary warrior, after defeating over 60 opponents in Mortal Kombat, made an unexpected choice. Embracing solitude over celebrity, his wisdom, captured in the Dokkodo's 21 Principles for Authentic Living, offers a radical alternative to our modern struggle. Today, we'll explore how this ancient warrior's path might hold the key to breaking free from society's suffocating expectations. Have you ever wondered why the most extraordinary individuals throughout history often walked alone? Miyamoto Musashi's choice to reject the conventional path of fame and honor reveals a profound truth about authentic living that most of us miss. In our hyperconnected world, we face unprecedented pressure to conform. Social media algorithms, workplace cultures, and social circles all systematically reward sameness, while penalizing divergent thinking and independence. This constant pressure creates a profound internal conflict between our authentic self and the person others expect us to be. Psychologists identify this as social identity threat, a chronic anxiety when we feel our true identity might be devalued or rejected. Consider how many professionals adopt corporate speech patterns and dress codes they privately despise, sacrificing individuality for acceptance. This struggle between authenticity and acceptance affects not just our emotional well-being, but fundamentally alters brain function. The scientific evidence is compelling. When facing strong conformity pressure, activity decreases in brain regions associated with independent thought, while stress hormones surge. These biological changes impair decision-making, diminishing our capacity for original thinking when we need it most. Our minds evolve for social survival, compromise our individuality in the process. Musashi recognized this universal human dilemma centuries before modern psychology. His 15th principle, do not act following customary beliefs, directly challenged a feudal Japanese value system that prioritized social harmony above individual expression. This revolutionary stance wasn't born from arrogance, but from understanding that true mastery requires freedom from external validation. While his contemporaries sought security in noble households, Musashi embraced the difficult path of the Ronin. This choice wasn't a stylistic preference, but a philosophical commitment to intellectual freedom. By sacrificing comfort and status, he preserved something far more valuable: his ability to think independently and develop insights that transcended centuries. The cost of conformity in our own lives appears as chronic dissatisfaction, career decisions based on prestige rather than fulfillment, relationships that look good rather than feel right, and opinions adopted for acceptance rather than truth. This disconnection from our authentic selves creates a persistent emptiness that no external validation can fill. This persistent emptiness can only be filled through a practice most of us actively avoid: deliberate solitude. What if the silence we desperately fill with notifications and noise is actually the doorway to our greatest strength? Musashi's retreat to a mountain cave wasn't an escape from society, but a revolutionary laboratory for developing what modern psychologists now recognize as the foundation of emotional maturity. The Dokkodo, Musashi's final testament, offers a radical perspective on solitude that contradicts everything our hyperconnected world tells us. Instead of seeing aloneness as something to be medicated or fixed, he presents it as a deliberate practice, a forge where mental strength and clarity of purpose are tempered through the absence of external influences. Like a still pond that can only reflect the sky when undisturbed by constant ripples, our minds require periods of quiet to achieve genuine clarity. Our modern environment has cultivated aloneness aversion, a profound discomfort with our own company that manifests as compulsive device checking and social media scrolling. This creates a cycle where we never develop capacity to distinguish our authentic thoughts from absorbed collective opinions. Principle 19 of the Dokkodo illuminates this dilemma: respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. This declaration of self-reliance translates directly to our lives today. Consider how often we wait for validation before taking action, postponing decisions until receiving likes or approval from others, much like waiting for divine intervention. Similarly, his 18th principle warns against seeking possessions for old age security. Each acquisition demands protection and maintenance, creating invisible chains binding us to paths that aren't truly our own, like remaining in an unfulfilling career simply to maintain lifestyle. During his cave retreat, Musashi practiced Aijiku, profound stillness that becomes the source of one's greatest power. This discipline anticipated what psychologists now call secure solitude, the ability to be alone without anxiety. His centuries-old practice shows that finding strength in solitude isn't a modern discovery, but ancient wisdom rediscovered, forming the foundation for emotional maturity and authentic relationships. Beyond developing comfort with our own company lies an even greater challenge: applying ancient warrior wisdom to our digital battlegrounds. While Musashi faced physical opponents with clear intentions, we confront invisible algorithms engineered to fragment our attention and reshape our values without our awareness. The Sword Master's principles, though formulated centuries before smartphones and social media, offer surprisingly powerful antidotes to our modern psychological traps. Translating Musashi's way of the warrior into today's context requires recognizing that our primary battlefield is mental. Every ping, notification, and endless scroll represents an opponent vying for our limited attention. The warriorship Musashi taught was never primarily about defeating external enemies, but about conquering internal forces that lead us away from our true path. Musashi's 16th principle states, "Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful." In our digital era, this guidance becomes revolutionary. Your smartphone, with thousands of apps and platforms, resembles a cluttered armory where useful tools disappear among distractions. Each notification and social account functions as a potential weapon that either serves our purpose or diverts our energy. The warrior's approach involves a ruthless inventory of these digital tools. This manifests in practical actions: turning off non-essential notifications, regularly purging digital subscriptions, and establishing tech-free zones. Think of your attention as a pristine room, only allowing what serves your purpose. Principle 17, do not fear death, takes on profound meaning when applied to psychological attachments. It teaches us to embrace the necessary small deaths of letting go, abandoning outdated identities and comfortable routines that no longer align with our authentic path. Psychological research confirms this approach, identifying psychological flexibility as a key predictor of well-being. Perhaps most relevant to our distraction-filled world is Musashi's 21st principle: never stray from a way. In an era of endless options, consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily practices aligned with our authentic purpose create more lasting transformation than dramatic but unsustainable changes. The ultimate test of authenticity comes when success and societal expectations point one way, while your inner compass points another. At the height of his fame after defeating Sasaki Kojiro, Miyamoto Musashi made a decision that baffled his contemporaries. He completely renounced lethal dueling when continuing what brought him unprecedented wealth and status. This wasn't a retreat from life, but rather a profound step toward a more meaningful existence. It challenges us to ask, what treasures might we discover when we follow our authentic path, even when it diverges from conventional success? Musashi's rejection of further dueling marked a transformative moment in his journey. Standing at the pinnacle of martial acclaim, he turned away from the path of glory, feeling the weight of a deeper calling. Rather than leveraging his undefeated record to secure patronage from powerful lords, he chose a more difficult path of spiritual and artistic contribution. This decision transformed him from a skilled warrior into a transcendent cultural figure whose influence spanned centuries. In the solitude that followed, he created works of calligraphy, painting, and philosophical texts that continue to guide truth seekers today. History reveals this pattern repeatedly. Nobel laureate abandoned secure academic positions, enduring the sting of colleagues' ridicule, to pursue unconventional research that later transforms entire fields. Business leaders step away from seven-figure salaries, wrestling with doubt, to build organizations addressing urgent social problems. These individuals embody what psychologists call post-conventional development, transcending society's success metrics to establish deeply personal measures of fulfillment. They discover that accomplishment stems not from external validation, but from aligning actions with core values. This echoes Musashi's 20th principle: you may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. His words cut to the heart of authentic living. Physical comfort, status, Even survival itself may be sacrificed, but integrity remains non-negotiable. Authenticity ultimately concerns contribution, creating meaning beyond one's lifetime. When Musashi retired to Ryagando Cave at age 60 to write the Book of Five Rings, he chose profound legacy over continued acclaim, ensuring his wisdom would illuminate paths for generations yet unborn. As our exploration of Miyamoto Musashi's philosophy comes to a close, we discover that his teachings transcend mere solitude. They illuminate a path to genuine liberation. This liberation emerges not in isolation, but in the quiet revolution within, the courage to stand firmly in our truth against external pressures. Modern psychology confirms what Musashi intuited centuries ago. Those embracing authenticity experience greater well-being when aligned with their inner nature. The journey toward authentic living requires trusting our inner compass, that internal guidance system navigating life's complexity, without surrendering to collective thinking. When cultivated, this self-reliance deepens rather than diminishes our connections. Musashi's enduring wisdom reveals that authentic alignment creates a consciousness that blooms from knowing your path and walking it deliberately. In this authentic solitude, we create lives reflecting our deepest values. What small step might you take today toward hearing your own inner voice?